The sky burned red over the Mojave Desert. Sandstorms twisted in the distance. Sergeant Ray Carter wiped the sweat from his face as he walked carefully over the dry rocks, holding his rifle tight. He had seen something fall from the sky, something big, and the smoke trail was still fresh in the air. God, it wasn't a ship. Not a bomb. It looked like a body. Ray's boots crunched against broken glass and blackened metal. His heart beat fast. After years of fighting aliens, he had learned one thing: never let your guard down, not even when the enemy looks dead. Stepped over a ridge and saw it. Her dot. A body lay in the dirt, curled up like a wounded animal. She wore black armor, cracked at the chest, with sparks coming from one of the plates. Her skin was glowing faintly, a soft silver-blue light under all the dust. Her face was partly covered by a cracked helmet and long strands of dark violet. Hair spilled out onto the sand. Ray raised his rifle. He stepped closer. That's when she moved. Slowly, painfully, her hand reached toward him. Her fingers shook. Silver blood dripped from her arm. She looked up. Her eyes glowed faint pink, wide with fear. Then, in a soft voice, she whispered, "Please, don't kill me, human. I'll warm your bed if I must." Ray froze. He had fought this alien race before, the Volari. Strong, fast, deadly. Warriors from another world. He had seen what they could do to soldiers like him. But this one, she was broken, bleeding, and scared. She wasn't fighting. She was surrendering. Ray lowered the rifle, just a little. "Who are you?" he asked, still watching her carefully. Her lips trembled. "They left me behind. I lost. My squad is dead." Ray stepped around her in a slow circle. Her wings, yes wings, were folded behind her back, but damaged. One of them was half torn and burned. She had no weapons. Her armor was broken. She could barely lift her head. She was no threat. But still, Ray had to be sure. "Are you playing me?" he asked, trying to get close. She shook her head. "If I wanted to kill you, I already would have." Ray lowered his gun completely. He knelt beside her. Her body flinched like a frightened animal. He reached out and took off his jacket. Gently, he placed it over her shaking shoulders. "You're not dying here," he said. Her glowing eyes widened. "You're helping me. Don't make me regret it." Ray heard engines in the sky, dropships, patrols, maybe his own team, or maybe scavengers. He had no time to think. He picked up the alien girl, light as a feather, and carried her down into the old storm bunker hidden under a sand-covered hill. He had found it years ago during a solo mission and kept it as a secret base. Inside the bunker, it was cool and dark. He laid her on a soft mat and lit a small lamp. She blinked at the light, still breathing hard. "Why would you save me?" she asked, her voice soft and confused. "Your people hate mine." Ray sat beside her, opening his medical kit. "You're not attacking me. That's enough." She winced as he cleaned the wound on her arm. Her skin was soft but had strange patterns like shimmering scales. She didn't cry. She didn't complain. But her breathing stayed quick, like she expected pain or death at any second. "My name is Serene," she said quietly. "I was second blade of the Volari vanguards. I failed, and now I am nothing." Ray looked at her. "You're not nothing. Not to me, not right now." She blinked, unsure if he was mocking her or being real. "I don't understand you humans," she whispered. Ray smiled faintly. "That makes two of us." Suddenly, Serene gasped and held her side. Her body started to glow brighter. Something was happening under her skin. Energy pulsed through her ribs like veins of light. She groaned in pain. Ray leaned forward. "Hey, stay awake. What's going on?" "If they find me alive," she said, voice shaking, "they will kill you too." "Who?" "My own kind." Ray stood, grabbed a plasma pistol, and locked the bunker door tight. "Then they better bring a big army," he said. S. Why? Ian looked up at him through tired, glowing eyes. And for the first time, she smiled. The first thing Ray heard was a cry in the dark. It wasn't loud, but it wasn't human either. It came from Serene. He rushed across the small underground bunker and found her curled up on the mat, shaking hard. Her wings twitched. One of them bent at a strange angle. Her eyes were closed tight. Sweat rolled down her glowing skin. She was having some kind of attack. Serene, he shouted, kneeling beside her. Her breathing was fast, too fast. The silver-blue veins on her neck were pulsing with light, flashing faster than before. Her skin, once cool, now burned with heat. I can't breathe, she gasped. Something's wrong. My blood, it's unstable. Ray reached for the med kit again, but nothing inside was made for her kind. No one on Earth had ever treated a Volari up close. The only thing he could do was think like a soldier and act fast. Hold still, he said. He cut away part of her armor near her ribs. There, under the cracked plate, he saw a dark liquid leaking from a tiny implant embedded just beneath her skin. Wires from it pulsed with flickering alien code. Something inside her was breaking down. What is this? Ray asked. She looked at it through tears. A control core. They use it to make sure warriors never surrender. Ray's face hardened. You mean, they built something in you that kills you if you give up? She nodded, choking. If I break, I'm erased. Ray stood, fists clenched. That's not right. He grabbed his toolkit, normally used for breaking into enemy locks or hacking terminals. Now he had to use it for surgery. I'm going to remove it, he said. You'll kill me, she whispered. Not today. Ray worked carefully, hands steady. He wasn't a doctor, but years in the field had taught him how to keep a soldier alive when no help was coming. He cut the skin gently, pulled out a small wire, disconnected one spark point, then stopped. If I pull it out now, it might explode, he muttered. Serene's eyes opened slightly. You should let me die. Ray looked her dead in the eye. You offered to warm my bed just to stay alive. Don't give up now. Her lips trembled. She didn't answer. Ray took a deep breath and twisted the tool. The implant popped free with a snap. A jolt of energy shot up his arm, and Serene screamed. He tossed the implant into a metal box, slammed the lid shut, and kicked it away. She passed out cold. Ray sat back, breathing hard, arms shaking. The glowing lines under her skin slowly faded. Her body stopped twitching. He had saved her, but as silence filled the bunker again, Ray's mind started spinning. Why had he done this? She was the enemy, a Volari, one of the most feared warrior races in the galaxy. Yet here she was, lying peacefully, helpless, wrapped in his jacket. And she wasn't trying to kill him. She was just a girl. An alien girl who had never known mercy until now. Hours passed. Ray sat beside her, watching her chest rise and fall. When she finally woke, her eyes opened slowly. You're still here, she whispered. I don't walk away from people I save, he replied. She sat up a little, her hand resting on the bandage. It's gone. I can feel it. For the first time, I'm not being watched. You're free now, Ray said. She looked around the small bunker. Walls lined with emergency supplies, weapons, and food packs. What is this place? Just a hole in the ground, he said. Good for hiding. Then why are you hiding? Ray looked away. I've seen too many lies on both sides. I stopped trusting the war. She tilted her head. You don't hate me? I should. But I don't. She smiled, faint and small. That scares me. Ray raised an eyebrow. Why? Because kindness is rare. And when you find something rare, it hurts more to lose it. Ray didn't respond right away. Instead, he handed her a bottle of water. She took it, held it carefully, like it was made of gold. As she drank, a soft glow returned to her face. A warmth that didn't come from fear, but from being safe. Then suddenly, the bunker lights flickered. Ray stood up, eyes on the power core. That's not normal. Syrian's smile faded. They're coming. Who? She stood wobbly, but stronger now. Her wings flared slightly behind her. Volari trackers. They can feel when a core is removed. It tells them someone broke protocol. Ray grabbed his rifle and headed for the hatch. Then we hold the door. Syrian stepped beside him, holding his spare plasma pistol. I won't run, she said. I didn't ask you to, Ray replied. Together, they stood facing the door. Outside, in the sandstorm above, silent shadows moved closer. The bunker door shook with a loud bang. Ray raised his rifle. Syrian stood beside him, her slim fingers tight around the plasma pistol. Her wings fluttered once, then folded close to her back. Her skin glowed faintly in the dim light, casting soft silver-blue shadows on the wall. A second bang followed. Then silence. They're scanning the structure, Syrian whispered. They'll breach in under 3 minutes, Ray nodded. You sure you're ready? I was trained to kill humans, she said. Now I'm standing with one. Ray gave her a quick look. Strange world, huh? A small smile touched her lips. Then the ceiling above them cracked. A flash of white light burst through, followed by 2 shadows dropping down fast. Volari soldiers, sleek armor, glowing masks, deadly smooth weapons in hand. Syrian moved first. She rolled across the floor, fired twice. One shot hit the ceiling. The other hit a soldier's shoulder. He spun, crashing into a supply rack. Ray fired next, taking down the second with a burst to the chest. Sparks flew. Before Ray could breathe, another thud shook the door. Syrian crouched beside him, breathing hard. That was just the scout team. The real ones are coming now. Then we fall back. He led her through the side tunnel, a narrow metal corridor filled with boxes and old tech. The passage led to a hidden escape shaft. But just before they reached it, Syrian stopped. Wait, she said. Listen. Ray froze. A soft humming echoed through the floor. They're tunneling under, she whispered. Smart bastards. Ray grabbed a small explosive charge from the wall and set it against the floor. Let's welcome them the old-fashioned way. Syrian stepped back, covering her ears. Ray hit the trigger. Boom. The floor burst open in smoke and dust. A shriek came from below. One more soldier gone. Ray coughed, pulling Syrian through the tunnel before the heat settled. We can't stay here, he said. They'll keep coming. Syrian nodded. There's a ship not far from here. Crashed during the battle. If it still runs. Ray didn't hesitate. Then we move now. They reached the surface just as the sun began to rise. The desert was still, the sand calm, but something hung in the air. The feeling of being watched. Ray scanned the ridge. Where's the ship? North Ridge, she said. 2 miles. They moved fast, staying low. As they crossed the rocks, Ray couldn't stop glancing at her. The way she moved, silent, swift but tired. Her wing dragged slightly behind her. She was strong, but not at full strength. Still, she didn't complain. Halfway to the ridge, Syrian suddenly stopped. Ray looked back. What is it? She raised her head. I feel them. You sure? Yes. Ray turned to scan the horizon. But before he could react, 3 sharp beams of red light shot from the left. They ducked, just in time. Enemy fire. Volari hunters. We're already there, waiting. Ray rolled behind a boulder. They were tracking us the whole time. Syrian crouched beside him, panting. They want me dead. Not captured. If they catch me, they'll make sure I disappear forever. Ray checked his rifle. Only 6 shots left. Then they'll have to go through me first. She looked at him, something soft in her glowing eyes. Why do you keep protecting me? Because you're not my enemy anymore. Her breath caught. The words stayed in the air between them like something fragile, something dangerous. Then she moved. She leapt from behind the rock, flying low with one wing, firing 2 precise shots. One enemy dropped. Ray joined her, hitting. Another. The last hunter screamed in their alien tongue and charged. But Serene stepped in front of Ray and took the hit. The energy bolt struck her shoulder, burning through armor and skin. She cried out, falling to her knees. Ray screamed her name. He fired and took the final hunter down, then rushed to her side. Blood-silver, glowing, poured from the wound. "You idiot," Ray said, holding her tight. "Why'd you jump in front?" She looked up at him, smiling faintly through the pain. "Because now I protect you too." He carried her the last half-mile to the crash site. The ship was old, battered, but still humming faintly with power. Ray kicked in the hatch and laid her down inside. He started scanning the ship's system. Lights blinked. Engines coughed. It would fly barely. As he checked the power lines, he heard her soft voice behind him. "I've never trusted anyone before." He looked back. She was lying in the co-pilot's seat, blood on her lips, eyes glowing weakly. "But I trust you now." "Human." Ray took her hand and nodded. "Then hold on. We're not done yet." Asterisk. The engine roared to life, then coughed, sputtered, and nearly died. Ray slammed his fist on the controls. "Come on, don't fail me now." Serene lay in the co-pilot's seat beside him, breathing weakly. Her wound had stopped bleeding, but her body was cold. The glow under her skin had faded. Her voice was soft. "You've done enough. Leave me and fly alone." Ray didn't even look at her. Not happening. He twisted a rusted lever, pulled back the throttle, and the ship finally jerked off the ground. The desert below shrank as they rose into the early morning sky. Black smoke trailed behind them, but they were flying. Barely. Ray checked the nav screen. "There's a secure outpost west of here. If we make it there, I can call for help." Serene's fingers touched the window. Her eyes followed the clouds. "That was the first time I've ever seen a sunrise." Ray glanced at her. "You've never seen the sunrise?" "No," she whispered. "We're trained in darkness, born underground. The Volari fear light. It shows weakness." Ray shook his head. "Maybe that's why they can't see what they've lost." A warning light blinked red. Something was locking onto them. Then the alarm screamed, "Missile incoming." Ray growled. He pulled hard on the flight stick. The ship dipped, spun, smoke twisting behind them. A loud boom echoed, and metal tore from the rear wing. The ship tilted dangerously to the right. Serene cried out as she was thrown against the side. Ray grabbed her arm and held her steady. "They found us," she whispered. "That's a Volari hunter drone." "It doesn't miss." Ray narrowed his eyes. "We'll see about that." He hit the flare button. "Nothing, of course," he muttered. "Too old for countermeasures." Another beep. A second missile incoming. Ray flipped open the emergency panel and reached for the last trick, an old human tech eject booster. If he timed it right, he could launch the ship just high enough to make the missile miss. But if he timed it wrong, they'd both explode in the air. He looked at Serene. Her eyes were on him, calm, steady, trusting. He pressed the trigger. The ship kicked hard, shooting into the sky. The missile shot past them, just inches away. They were safe until the ship dropped. Hard. The booster had burned out the main fuel line. Flames sparked across the control panel. Ray yelled, "Hold on." The ship plummeted through the clouds, shaking wildly. He aimed for a forest clearing below, the only patch of green for miles. Trees rushed up fast. He closed his eyes as the ship smashed through branches and crashed with a deafening crunch. Everything went black. When Ray opened his eyes, smoke was rising from the console. The lights were dead. The windshield was cracked. He reached to his side. "Serene," she groaned, still breathing. He unbuckled her harness and pulled her free from the twisted metal. Her arm was bleeding again. Her wing hung limp. "Can you walk?" he asked. She nodded slowly. He helped her out of the wreckage. They stumbled into the forest, quiet, green, peaceful. For a moment, it felt like they had landed in another world, but Ray knew better. They were still being hunted. Serene leaned against a tree. "We need to move." Ray turned toward the distant mountains. "There's a hidden comms tower up there. If we reach it, I can send a signal. But it's 2 days away." "I'll slow you down," she said. "Then I'll carry you," he replied. She blinked at him, surprised. "Why?" "Because we've come this far." Serene stepped forward, wobbling but determined. "Then let's keep going." They moved slowly through the forest, leaves crunching under their feet. Every shadow felt dangerous. Every sound made Ray tighten his grip on the pistol. By nightfall, they reached a small river. Ray built a fire. Serene sat close, shivering. Ray wrapped a blanket around her shoulders. "You're burning up. You need rest." She looked at him, her eyes tired. "No one has ever taken care of me." "You'll get used to it." She gave a weak smile. "You're a strange human," Ray smiled back. "You're not so bad yourself." Then she leaned against him. Her head rested on his shoulder, not as a soldier, not as an alien, but as someone who had finally stopped running. For a moment, the world was quiet, but far above the trees, hidden behind the stars, a new ship entered Earth's orbit. Bigger, faster, Valari Command. They had found her again. The stars above the forest were no longer quiet. A silver-black warship hovered behind the clouds, silent, watching, hunting. The insignia on its side marked it as Valari High Command. And inside, standing tall and proud, was the one Serene feared. More than death itself, Commander Valak. He was the one who raised her, trained her, broke her. The one who taught her that pain was strength and mercy was weakness. Now, he had come to erase his greatest failure. His voice echoed inside the command deck, cold and sharp. "She has dishonored the bloodline. She chose a human over her people. She must be destroyed." He activated the planetary tracker. Her signal pulsed weakly from a forest clearing. He smiled. "She is not running anymore." Back on Earth, Serene sat near the small campfire, staring at the flames. Ray was still asleep, breathing softly under the old blanket. His rifle rested by his side. His jacket now covered her shoulders, and her hand was curled around his. She never thought she could feel safe like this. Not after everything she had seen. Not after years of battle, blood, and betrayal. But in this moment, under these stars, beside this strange human, Serene felt something she had never known before. Peace. Then her heart turned cold. A sound in the trees. Too soft for human ears, but Serene knew it well. Valari's step. She rose to her feet, fast, wings tensing. Her glow returned, brighter than before. She moved silently, stepping past the fire into the dark. There he was. Commander Valak, standing like a statue in the moonlight. No armor, no weapon, just eyes filled with judgment. "Serene," he said, voice deep and cruel. "You were my finest blade." She didn't answer. "You were trained to destroy humans, not lie with them." "I didn't lie with him," she said. "I lived." He took one slow step forward. "You think this is living, hiding in dirt? Healing in a human's arms like a weakling? He showed me kindness. And that makes him worthy?" Serene raised her head. "More than you ever were." Valak's jaw tightened. "You've forgotten who you are," he growled. "No," she said. "I finally remember." Then came the sound of movement behind her. Serene spun around. 2 elite Valari guards stepped from the trees, weapons aimed at her heart. "You can still return," Valak offered. "Kneel now. Kill the human. I will repair your wings. Restore your rank." Serene looked at him, and for the first time in her life, she wasn't afraid. "I'm not yours anymore." She raised the plasma pistol Ray had given her. The guards fired. She rolled behind a tree as shots blasted the bark apart. Ray woke with a jolt, grabbing his rifle. "Searing, stay down!" She shouted. Ray didn't listen. He fired toward the shadows. One Volari guard fell. The second charged him. Ray ducked, pulled his knife, and slashed. Syren jumped forward and finished the guard with a clean shot to the chest. Silence returned. Only Valak remained. He stood calmly, no emotion in his eyes. "You've chosen your death, Searing." "No," she said. "I've chosen my freedom." Ray stepped beside her, weapon raised. Valak laughed. "You think this human will protect you?" "He already has," she whispered. Valak moved too fast for Ray to react. His hand grabbed Searing's throat, lifting her off the ground. But Searing didn't scream. She smiled and fired the hidden blade from her, wrist straight into Valak's chest. He dropped her with a grunt. The blade sparked, overloaded with energy, and exploded. Valak fell backward, smoke rising from his chest. His body twitched, then stilled. Ray ran to Searing and caught her before she hit the ground. She was shaking, her skin dim again, energy drained. "You okay?" he asked. She nodded. Slowly, "It's over." But it wasn't. The Volari warship above the clouds began to descend. Red lights blinked under its wings. They were coming down to finish the mission. Ray looked up. "We need to run." "No," she said, holding his hand. "We need to end this." Inside the wrecked escape pod nearby, Searing found something she had hidden long ago, an ancient Volari beacon. Meant to call allies in times of war. She rewired it with Ray's help, turning it into a message, a warning to the Volari leaders watching from orbit. "Searing, daughter of the Blade, declares her life her own," she said into the device. "I choose peace. I choose love. I choose freedom." She pressed the signal. Above. The warship paused. It did not fire. It turned slowly and vanished back into the clouds. Syren collapsed in Ray's arms, tears rolling down her cheeks. Not from pain, but from release. Rain fell softly in the forest. That night. It was the first real rain Searing had ever felt. Cold, wet, honest. It didn't care who she was, warrior, traitor, alien. It just touched her skin like everything else touched the earth. She raised her face toward the sky and let it wash over her. Ray sat beside the small fire under a makeshift tarp. Watching her. She stood barefoot in the open, arms lifted, wings half spread, eyes closed as the rain rolled down her glowing body. Her hair clung to her cheeks, and for once, her armor was gone. She wore only a thin gray blanket wrapped around her shoulders. She didn't look like a killer anymore. She looked like someone reborn. Ray spoke gently. "You'll catch a cold out there." Searing smiled through the rain. "Let it catch me. I've run enough." She came back under the tarp, shivering slightly. Ray handed her a dry towel. She took it slowly, brushing her wet face and arms. "I used to think pain made me strong," she said. "Now I know it just made me numb." Ray poured warm water into a small metal cup and handed it to her. "Then maybe it's time to feel again." Searing sat close beside him, not for safety. Not because she was cold, but because she wanted to. "I thought I was just a tool," she whispered. "Made to kill, then be discarded. That's what my commanders told me. That's what I believed. And now?" Ray asked. She looked at him with eyes soft and unsure. "Now I don't know what I am, but for the first time, I want to find out." They sat in silence, listening to the crackle of the fire and the sound of rain tapping on the trees. Ray leaned back against a log, letting his body relax. His arm rested beside hers, close but not touching. "I used to be a soldier too," he said. "I followed orders, shot when told, watched friends die, and then I came home and found silence." Searing turned to him. "You were alone." "Still am," he said. "Until now." She reached for his hand. Her fingers were small, cool. and trembling. He didn't move away. "I don't understand everything about humans," she said. "But I understand you." Ray looked at her. Her silver-blue skin glowed gently in the firelight. Her scars were visible now, small burns, blade marks, and the faint trace where the implant had once pulsed near her heart. She wasn't hiding them, and somehow, that made her more beautiful than anything he had ever seen. "I'm not afraid." "Of you," he said. "You should be," she whispered, but her voice was shaking. He leaned closer. "I'm not." She closed her eyes. Her lips trembled. "Then hold me, please." Ray pulled her gently into his arms. She didn't resist. Her head rested against his chest, her body warm and soft, wings folded against her back. She sighed. "I thought the only way to survive was to give myself to someone powerful," she said. "That's why I said those words when we met. I'll warm your bed if I must. I thought that was all I could offer." Ray held her tighter. "You never needed to offer that." "I know," she said, "but now I want to." Ray froze. She looked up at him, her cheeks flushed. "Not because I'm afraid. Not because I'm weak, but because I'm free. And I choose you." He kissed her gently, not like a conqueror, not like a savior, but like a man who had waited a long time to find something real. She kissed him back soft, slow and hungry. Not for survival, but for something deeper. The rain outside faded. The fire crackled low, and inside their quiet shelter, two lost souls held each other through the night. Not as enemies, not as soldier and alien, but as man and woman, for the first time in her life. Syrian was not being used, she was being loved, and she was learning what that meant with every touch, every word, every heartbeat shared in the silence. The sun rose quietly through the forest trees. Soft gold light touched the wet leaves. Birds chirped and mist danced above the damp ground. It was peaceful, but something hung heavy in the air. A feeling that today would decide everything. Syrian stood near the river, her wings open to catch the morning breeze. Her skin no longer flickered with fear. Her glow was calm now, steady. Behind her, Ray packed what little gear they had left. She turned slowly, watching him. He hadn't said much since they woke. Not because he was angry, but because they both knew what was coming. Syrian broke the silence. "They sent a message." Ray looked up. "From orbit?" She nodded. "They said I am free to go. No more hunters, no war crimes, no tracking." "That's good, right?" Ray asked. She didn't answer right away. "They also said, I can't stay here," she said softly. "The Volari Council gave one condition. I must leave Earth and return to neutral space. If I stay with you, they'll treat it as betrayal. Again." Ray stood still. His jaw tightened, but he didn't speak. She stepped closer. "They gave me one ship, one window. It leaves tonight from the old launch station outside the mountain valley." Ray crossed his arms. "And if you don't go?" She looked down. "Then I lose all rights. I'll be hunted again. No return. No safety, no people." Ray took a slow breath. "What do you want?" She looked at him, really looked at him. "You were the first person to see me as more than a weapon," she said. "You didn't use me. You didn't chain me. You gave me warmth, food, safety, and your heart." She reached out and placed her hand over his chest. "I don't want to leave that behind." "But if you stay," he said, "you lose everything else." She smiled faintly. "Then I guess I have to decide what everything really means." Later that afternoon, they stood on the edge of the valley. The launch pad was visible now, a hidden station from Earth's past wars. The ship was there, humming softly. A single pilot drone waited at the base. The door was open. Ray looked at her. "This is it." Syrian looked up at the sky. "Once I leave, they'll erase my name from Volari records." Ray nodded. "And if you stay, they'll come again. Maybe not tomorrow, but someday." She turned to him. "Then tell me what to do." He stepped forward. I can't, he said. It has to be your choice. I've made mine already. She looked into his eyes. What is your choice? Ray held her hand. That wherever you go. My heart goes too. If you walk onto that ship, I'll live. But if you stay, I'll live with you. Silence. A long breath. She turned toward the ship. Each step was slow. The wind blew gently through the trees. Ray didn't stop her. Not even when she climbed the ramp. Not even when the door began to close. But just before the hatch sealed, a hand stopped it. Her hand. She stood in the doorway. Eyes locked on him. Tears ran down her cheeks. I wasn't meant to stay, she whispered. But I choose to be yours. She stepped back down, ran to him. And threw her arms around his chest. He caught her, held her, lifted her off the ground. And for the first time in their lives, neither of them felt alone. That night, they returned to the forest camp. They rebuilt the shelter, planted seeds, and made a small home among the trees. Ray taught her to fish. She taught him how to move through the dark without making a sound. He laughed more. She glowed brighter. Sometimes they fought about silly things, like who burned dinner, but they always ended the day with her curled in his arms, her head on his shoulder, whispering stories from her old world. One day, years later, they stood outside a small home with strange flowers growing along the path. A child played nearby, chasing a glowing butterfly. She had his eyes and her mother's wings. Ray leaned against the tree, watching them both, and smiled. Serene walked over and kissed his cheek. Do you regret saving me that day? She asked. He laughed. Every day I wake up, I thank the stars you fell from the sky.